Where is Mr. JD Vance these days? Mr. No More Forever Wars. I voted for Donald Trump because he is the only one who understands how awful it was that America started all of these wars, and we must never start any more wars. Have you seen him recently? Is he there with you? Because he's not here in Washington.
He's not here with me. The thing with JD Vance, and again, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I sort of am patting myself on the back because I told you JD Vance, like in the movie Fargo, is going to go through the wood chipper. And so conspicuously,
gross.
No, conspicuously not in the room during the Venezuelan thing. Conspicuously not in Mar-a-Lago during the Iranian invasion. And, you know, he said, oh, my God, we got to set up some mock-up situation where he's sitting there looking like a bozo in some kind of photo op in another situation room that has nothing to do with the real situation room.
Power center.
Yeah, exactly. It's this sort of nonsense. And he's doing things, right? He headlined that fundraiser. He went out to go with 50 people. You probably saw that in the paper with Donald Trump Jr. They had 50 people give him $100,000 each. It was a very lucrative fundraiser for them all. But I think Vance is in big trouble with Donald Trump. I think he has been completely and totally sidelined.
On this issue, but
generally Trump wants nothing to do with him. Now, on the other thing, okay, the eagle that is soaring right now is little Marco. Okay, little Marco is almost like a clay pigeon, Katty, you know, like, and it's up in the air right now, and he's soaring, and Trump's telling you he's the greatest Secretary of State in the world. And in 6 months, click, click, kaboom, okay, the clay pigeon is going to burst in the sky, and Donald Trump is going to eviscerate little Marco. Okay, so that's going to happen as well, because Trump honestly cannot, and I repeat, he honestly cannot help himself. And somebody said to me here in Dublin last night, I was at an event, who does Trump want to be his successor?
Nobody.
Okay, thank you, Katty K. So I answered with Gavin Newsom, and they went,
a Democrat.
I said, well, hear me out. You guys were nobody before I got here. Now you're somebody, but only because of me. And oh, by the way, when I leave, you're going to be nobody. Okay, and that's what's going on here. So JD Vance, bye-bye. Okay, now, what JD Vance did, which I found very interesting, Katty, and I want you to react to it, he had his staffers leak to the press that he wasn't for the strike.
Yeah.
Didn't help him with Trump, but he's trying to get a pole position in place for the 2028. So react to that, please.
So he didn't even just leak it to the press. He wrote an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal back in 2024 in which he said his primary reason for supporting Trump had been that he started no wars. In October of 2024, he said, our interest, I think, very much is not going to war with Iran. He doesn't even need to leak it to the press. I mean, he's been quite blunt about this. And to the extent that he represents the anti-interventionist wing of the Republican Party, which he clearly does and is the champion of, that wing is losing at the moment. The Steve Bannon wing, the JD Vance wing, they're the ones that are not being able to restrain the president. They couldn't stop him from Venezuela. They couldn't stop him from doing Iran. And now JD is in the position where he's having to go out and talk to some of these anti-interventionists, and he has had to come out in public, which he's done, and sell the administration's line. But as he does that, he's losing some of his political capital with that group. So he is having to spend his own political capital. I mean, he's in a you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. He's got to spend his political capital with that group to defend the administration's actions in Iran, knowing that if he's going to run in 2028, he's going to need their support, and they are now a little bit disappointed with him. A reminder to JD Vance, you can't win here. You can't be half pregnant. You can't be half MAGA. You have to be kind of full MAGA. It's a bit like John Cornyn. We spoke about him in Texas. You've got to be 100% on board.
So in 1960, on the eve of the election, at a press conference, one of Eisenhower's last press conferences, the press raised their hand and said, Mr. Nixon is running for president. In the last 8 years, could you please tell me an achievement of his in your two administrations? And Eisenhower looked at the guy and said, if you give me a week, I'll think about it. Okay. And it was like literally like a Scud missile going into Nixon's campaign headquarters. Trump did a number. He did a number on JD Vance. Said differently, he hit him with a karate chop into the Adam's apple, Katty. He said, and I quote, "It didn't take much persuading of JD Vance," because the press went to him and said, "The vice president has expressed reservations of going to this war." And Trump just went right at him and demeaned him.
And takes away the invitation to come down to Mar-a-Lago as the war is starting.
Exactly. And so, by the way, JD, that was a sign of disloyalty.
I agree with that.
And here's the thing, okay, because JD actually had some chops on this. He's a former Marine. He was in the wars. He had some chops on this, and he had some gravitas on this.
And a long history. You know, there's video for everything, right? There's video and op-eds for everything. Vance did do an interview with Fox News. Here's what he said. "The president has clearly defined what he wants to accomplish. There's just no way Donald Trump is going to allow this country to get into a multi-year conflict with no clear end in sight and no clear objective." That is JD Vance trying to talk out of both sides of his mouth. In the first part of that, he is trying to say, Donald Trump, you're right. You know, he's done exactly the right thing. Not that we think Donald Trump has clearly defined what he wants to accomplish, because he clearly hasn't. And then in the second part of that, he's saying to his non-interventionist base, don't worry, this is not a forever war. And please forgive me for the position that I'm in.
How's that going to work out for him, Katty?
That's going to work out really well.
Can you hear the wood chipper in the background? Can you hear the wood chipper? It's right outside my window by the seance studio. Can you hear it?
You know why it doesn't work out? Because we live in an era where there is no forgiveness for people not being authentic. There is no room for
100%.
People in this communications world, in this age of populism, particularly, you have to be somebody that the people believe you are. That's why Donald Trump gets away with it.
100%.
Donald Trump can say 50 different things at once and have 50 different positions on something, but he is who he is.
Yeah, he's consistently mad.
He's consistently inconsistent. JD Vance is trying to make a coherent position, but revealing himself as trying to satisfy everybody. And in this world, you can't try and please everybody.
Guys, we need subscribers. Okay, hello, are you guys listening? Somewhere on here, there's a tapping button. Could you please tap the subscribe button here on YouTube? It'll really help us out with the algorithm. It'll give us more reach, and our show will be more apparent to you every day if you do that. Please help.
Let's talk about the economy.
Okay.
I had an interesting conversation this morning with Congressman Jim Himes and asked him whether we're going to start seeing Democrats make more of a case linking the economy and the potential costs of the economy and this war. Because just in the last day or two, you've heard Democrats saying, hold on a second, gas prices are going up. The war cost $1 billion in the first 24 hours. At the same time, the Republicans in the White House are trying to cut your healthcare subsidies. So is this somewhere where Democrats think they're going to go, that they're going to hammer this, not on the grounds, because I think it's complicated for them, not on the grounds of this was a bad idea, because they realize Americans don't like Iran, and a lot of Democrats don't like Iran either, but they're going to start linking this to the key issue that they know is the issue in the midterms, which is affordability. Do you think that's where they're going to go, and would they be smart to go there?
I do, and I think it's smart to go there if they frame it properly. Like if they got to the camera, looked straight into the camera and said, this is the war tax that nobody voted for, because gas prices went from the low $2 to $3.20 in 5 days. Okay. And now you have a liquid natural gas crisis going on around the world where those prices are up substantially. You also have a forecast coming out by E&Y Parthenon that's saying that the growth in the U.S., the GDP, is likely going to be down 50 to 100 basis points as a result of this. So that slowdown is going to hurt everybody. And then the weird thing, Katty, and I'd like you to talk about this, he's trapping the Fed. Okay, so the worst enemy of Donald Trump is Donald Trump, because he wants the rates to go down, but you're setting up a situation now for stagflation. Right. You see what's going on? Like Mohammed El-Arian, one of my buds, used to run the Howard Endowment. He's was at Alliance. He's one of the top capital allocators, top macro thinkers in the world, is saying these types of situations could really hamstring the Fed. They'd be locked in accordion knot because they can't move. And Trump wants lower rates, but you got the prices going up.
Yeah, and Kevin Walsh is not going to want to come in and raise interest rates. After all of the campaign he made to get that job, that is not the thing he's going to want to do. But if oil and gas prices keep going up, it's going to be certainly very difficult for him to cut rates. Apparently, you've got Susie Wiles is calling oil industry executives frantically on the phone saying, what can we do? Find me something. Find me some good news. I need you to do something to try and bring down oil and gas prices, particularly prices at the pump. Mm-hmm. I don't know why the administration didn't think going into this that gas prices would go up.
But why didn't they open up the Strategic Petroleum Reserve? The last war, we opened up the SPR.
Or suspend, as they're talking about now, you suspend the gas tax or something. That's, they're throwing out all of these ideas. Let's suspend the gas tax for a year. The White House is acting in a panic over gas prices right now. All of the political sides realize what an incredible cost this can be. This is what helped get Joe Biden booted out of the presidency.
No question.
It was damaging to his campaign. It was the single thing, right? They care about gas prices more than they care about the price of eggs, voters.
See, the White House thought that they were going to have a triple intensity 12-day war, but the Iranians were going to respond to it like they did the 12-day war. Okay, they did not expect the Iranians to start bombing apartment buildings and hotels in Dubai. No way, because that's evidenced by the lack of planning with the embassy and getting people out of the country. They were thinking about it in a way that shows extreme arrogance, meaning never underestimate your adversary or your potential opponent. And the Iranians are saying, hey, I got the number here. I'm going to choke off the global economy. And so I see the Strait of Hormuz as a mini COVID. And just hear me out for a second, because even if they slow down, they could mine the strait. They could slow down the tanker activity in the strait. Then what happens, Katty? You get factory shutdowns in South Korea, factory shutdowns in China. You get a whole host of things that happen in Europe as a readjustment or reallocation of capital due to energy prices, as well as the United States. And it's like a mini COVID recession. Mm-hmm. And the administration, what are you doing? They weren't thinking about this. And so I just find it really weird that they thought that they were going to get a 12-day war response where the Iranians were like, hello, we're going to bomb this site and you get your people out of there so that we don't escalate this too far. But the Iranians are not doing that. Now, look, the missile strikes are down. This is the stuff that General Kane said. And obviously the U.S. will have air superiority, but the Iranians have done something, which is they've choked off elements of the global economy, which is going to hurt the approach the Fed is going to take over the next 6 months. And it's going to generally hurt global GDP.
And by the way, if tankers, like we heard off the coast of Kuwait, do start getting hit and oil starts leaking into the Gulf, how many oil companies and tanker companies are going to want to send their ships there? I mean, that's going to depress even the fear of Iranians blowing up your tankers full of oil is going to make people wary about trying to be in that region. So I think that's going to hurt price. I mean, the longer this goes on, the more destabilizing it is to the economy, the more destabilizing it is to the White House because they have to deal with the fallout of this. And the more the American people risk turning against this. If this is all done and dusted in the case of the next week, then we may not be having this discussion in a week's time. And I think we have to have the humility to recognize that that's a possibility.
I still think he hurt the economy. We'll have a different discussion. But Katty, we've been doing this Trump series, as we both know, for our founding members. I really want to encourage people to listen to it because the whole foundation of Trump's decision-making and the whole lack of caution and general recklessness combined with the luck, has gotten us to where we are right now, which is why the president is incredibly overconfident in doubling and tripling down on the things that he's doing. And thus far, because he's won the presidency twice, Katty, much to the chagrin of many people, including myself, he's won it twice. I think we do a very good job in this episode of explaining the sediment and the foundation of the Trump decision-making.
So if you'd like to sign up and get this series, you can become a founding member by going to therestispoliticsus.com and clicking on the link. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, guys.